In a recent survey conducted jointly by FICCI and Indian Angel Network revealed that 70% of startups across the country have been impacted by COVID-19. As many as 12% have had to halt operations altogether. So, keeping all this scenario in mind, in today's ever-changing business climate, an entrepreneur can easily become overwhelmed, and hence it is vital, though, to stay focused on your goals for the company. And hence, it is very, very important that an entrepreneur should learn certain firm strategies and tips to clear a path to success. So over here, I request Dr. Sulakshana Mane, Assistant Professor of Food, Nutrition and Development Department, SVT College of Home Science, to introduce our next speaker for the session on tips and strategies for young minds. Thanks. Over to you, Sulakshana.
Thank you, Dr. Rajeshree. This is really a good opportunity you have given me to introduce Mr. Lele. Mr. Lele is a young, dynamic technocrat. I will say he's really a dynamic person. He has around 20-year experience in the varied field in food industry, as he has done his degree in chemical engineering from UD ICT and MBA from USA. He's a founder member and the managing director of Exelon Food Bio Advisor Private Limited. This company, they are providing the technical and management consultancies to startups and as well to small and medium enterprises in food industry. He's a proprietor of Exelon Basket. They are manufacturing carbonated and non-carbonated beverages. As well, he is a proprietor of fruitine beverages. They are also manufacturing exotic fruit wines. He is the president of the Association of Food Scientists and Technologists in the AFSTI Mumbai chapter. As well, he is a convener of Maharashtra State NetPro-Fan initiatives of FSSAI, New Delhi. He is a secretary of board of governor of UD Alumni Association and Food Technology Industry Smart India Hackathon 2019-20 MHRD initiative, Government of India. He is mentoring for so many startup programs in India under the sector of food and beverages and agriculture and in DIPP, Government of India. So over to Mr. Nilesh Lele, I'm really waiting to hear you. So I again welcome Mr. Nilesh Lele. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to share my screen. So if that's possible, yeah, thank you. So first and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. Jagmeet Madan and the SVT College for giving me this opportunity, as well as HADSA and I would say my mentor and good friend, Dr. Smarta, as well as the other panelists, and warm welcome to all the students. And I see almost 370 participants on Zoom and probably many more on Facebook and YouTube. So I'm very excited to be here. Talking to students, talking to next generation is always something that I'm very passionate about. I've been very carefully listening to Dr. Smarta, and it has also come out that post-COVID-19, what has COVID-19 taught us and what could be opportunities and what could be different strategies that we can have. And at this point in time, I just made notes when Dr. Smarta was talking that one thing that it has taught us is that you need to be part of the essential supply chain. So like roti, kapda or makan that we keep hearing in our, like one of the famous dialogues in movies. So you have to be in roti, kapda and makan. Maybe kapda, makan can still, you can live away with it or compromise on it. But probably food is something where, and especially if it is essential food, like, you know, the commodities, the pulses, the rice, the vegetables, the fruits, you will have good days ahead. So you need to be in essential supply chain, especially in the food business. The other thing I would like to highlight at this point is a lot of startups come up to me and they are typically in something that I call is nice to have kind of products. Make sure that you're not necessarily nice to have, but must have kind of a product category. Let me give you certain differentiations, like currently we are talking about edible cutlery or biodegradable cutlery and all that, which at this point in time, I still feel it's slightly early days, especially in India. And probably those industries are still in nice to have kind of categories rather than must have. I'm not saying it will not become a must have category, but at this point in time, some of these are nice to have. So make sure you are in essential supply chain as well as in must have category rather than nice to have. And I'm going to give you some more ideas and inputs based on my last 10 years of entrepreneurship journey. What I've learned, especially from my mistakes and my failures, is I'm more fascinated about that than from the success part of things. So let me just jump into the PPT. So a lot of topics Dr. Smarta has also covered, and you'll start seeing a common theme coming out of it. But let us try to understand that if you want to have a startup or want to do your own business, it's, even though it sounds very glamorous, let me tell you, it's hard work. It's 24/7 by 365, right? I call it, I'm a rickshaw driver. If I drive rickshaw, I make money. Otherwise, I don't make money. So that's a typical journey of an entrepreneur versus someone who has a job, 9 to 6, you work, you take a holiday, anything, you know, your salary is still continuing. That's not true, necessarily true for a lot of people who are in the businesses. Secondly, there are a lot of stakeholders. So right from paying rent and electricity, your employees, your government, taxes, that has to be paid first before you actually can pay yourself or get profit. So yes, there's a lot of glamour attached to it. I encourage a lot of people to enter into entrepreneurship journey, but it's also a hard and difficult journey. Very exciting, but be prepared. Don't think that I don't like my job and that's why I want to become an entrepreneur. Probably that's a wrong attitude. You should be committed to be 24/7 by 365. And definitely India as a country needs more job givers than job seekers. So on this slide, I've spoken about few key elements that the way you should structure your startup or structure your journey. One is you should really look at, you should have a unique idea or idea which is slightly different from the typical market that is happening. Or we can also say you should have a particular problem statement and you can define a particular solution to it. So one of my favorite examples is Uber. It's not that when Uber came in that we didn't have enough supply of Kali Pili taxis. We had enough supply, things were fine, you know, but there were certain problems with that model. You had to go hunt for the taxi. He may say, he may not say, he may say yes, he may say no, he may overcharge you. What if you want to go to the airport at 6 a.m. in the morning? Where do you really find him? So there were some challenges in the existing model. So they figured that, okay, there is a problem and let us try to fix the problem. So now with the smartphones and like, you know, you can book it real time, you know exactly how much you have to pay. Most of the, all of the taxis are air conditioned, whereas typically Kali Pilis are not air conditioned. So they realized that there is a problem statement and there is a solution, which was at that point in time, definitely it was a unique. So make sure you work on something which is unique. And I'm sure in today's, and of course in my talk later as well, I'm going to give you some ideas that I have in mind that you could work on or may help you think slightly outside the box. Second thing is that ideas should also have a market or a need. Like I gave you like edible cutlery or a biodegradable packaging material, or one of my other favorite examples of late is the electric vehicles. Yes, there's a lot of buzz around it, but last year only 4,000 electric vehicles, four-wheelers were sold. So is there large enough market? Is there a large enough need? Maybe not. I think that industry is still a little ahead of time. Yes, it's the future, but probably you need to be the last person standing when the future arrives, right? You don't want to die before the future arrives, which we have seen in the case of like Flipkart was the last person standing. There were hundreds of Flipkarts before them who basically died before they could actually encash on it. So you need to make sure the market is there, the need is there. Then another key component is the finance. And let me assure you, a lot of finance is available. Yes, it's not easy, I would say, but there are a lot of investors. There are different family offices, HNIs, VCs, PEs. They are out there. They are looking for smart ideas. They are looking for smart entrepreneurs. So don't keep yourself back thinking that, oh, where will I get the money? I'm not saying it's very easy to get the funding, but trust me, the money is there. Money should not be the reason why you want to hold back on whatever business you want to start off. Supply chain is another big challenge or big aspect you should consider. I, being a manufacturer of 2 factories I have, for me, the most essential thing is supply chain. My raw material is regional and seasonal. So I have to ensure that the supply chain on the back end side or the backward linkages is in place, as well as once the product is done with the stockist, the distributor, the retailer, the end customer, that supply chain on the forward linkages is also in place. Unfortunately, in India, the supply chain component is pretty expensive. It adds up almost 23% to the overall. So if you're purchasing something for 100 rupees, almost 23 rupees of it is going for transportation and logistics and warehousing and all that. Whereas in the US, it's hardly 7%. But I'm an optimistic person, so I always look at any challenge or any any flaw as an opportunity. So there is an opportunity right there that the supply chain, there's a 16% inefficiency. So a lot of you can come up with certain model which can derive value out of eliminating these inefficiencies in the overall supply chain. And last major component is obviously sales and marketing. Yes, you have a great product, it's ready, you should be able to sell it. And like Dr. Smarta also said, especially if you are in food product or any product, you need to focus on repeat customers. Unless you have 80% repeat customers, you cannot be successful. You can fool one person, any person only once, right? You cannot keep fooling him again and again. So they have to really like your product. And like sir also said, value proposition is important. Like I say, if the perceived value is greater than the cost, that person becomes a repeat customer. I'll repeat it. If the perceived value, so like Parle G's 2 rupees biscuit, the perceived value for me is more than 2 rupees. So I'm more than happy to buy the 2 rupee wala pack. But if that same pack was worth 20 rupees, probably the perceived value is not 20 rupees. So then I may not keep buying that again and again. So as long as the perceived value is greater than the cost, you will have repeat customers and they'll keep coming again and again. So make sure you focus on repeat customers. So all in all, you are like that maestro or a director of a film where you have to balance out. These are just the big picture. There are so many small aspects that you have to balance out to ensure that you are successful as a business or as an entrepreneur. Next is in India, obviously there are a lot of opportunities. India has large agriculture produce. We have all 9 agroclimatic zones. So anything that is grown anywhere in the world, it can grow in India, right? So recently, hing plantation was done in Himachal. You have kiwis been grown in Arunachal. So anything can be grown really. We have round the year sunshine. We have large surpluses. So a lot of processing can actually be done. And as well as we have large skilled manpower, like more than 50,000 food science, food technology or nutrition background students are graduating every year. So we do have large manpower. So we have large surplus, which can actually be converted into value added products and be exported to the Western countries or to Europe or to Japan or Australia. So there's huge scope. I mean, I think we are at the right time in the right place. So a lot of it can be capitalized, especially people who are much younger than me. They can actually make really good business models out of what lies ahead. Certain tips I would like to give. First is focus on anything that is market backwards rather than product forward. Many people walk up to me and say, I want to do mango pulping. I said, why? It's like, because I have mango available, so I just want to make a pulp and sell it. I'm like, is there a market? Have you studied it? So, rather than that, you go to the market, see whether there is a shortage of mango pulp. Is it shortage in 850 grams or 3.2 kgs or in aseptic, in 200, dehydrated, or slices, pulp, dices, what is exactly the market demanding? Where is the demand? Where is the shortage? Try to figure out that. Like currently I have a demand for 99.6% purity curcumin for export to Canada, but there is no supplier. There are a lot of suppliers who are saying, I want to do curcumin, I want to do curcumin, I want to do curcumin. But do you really have the market for it? Now that I have a market, now it will make more sense for me to go backward and set up a unit and make the product. So have focus on going market backwards, take market insights, see whether demand is. Like for example, a large modern trade retail chain wants to have their own ghee in their own brand, right? They also want to launch their sunflower oil in their own brand. So there's the demand. So you can always go backwards and set it up rather than saying, I want to set up a dairy, or I want to do milk products, or I want to do this and that. There is market available. Try to have your products catered to it rather than make a product and go to the market and see, oh, is anybody willing to buy? Is anybody willing to buy? So always go the reverse way than the forward way to come up with your strategy. We also can utilize a lot of underutilized, unutilized foods or superfoods. For example, jackfruit is one fruit that is totally underutilized, and in fact, it's a superfood. Similarly, you have both my units are in Kokand, so I'm very passionate about Kokand. You have things like kokum, you have jamun, you have karvanda, you have cashew apple. A lot of these are superfoods, and I'll talk about cashew apple slightly later. But nobody has really tried to utilize some of these superfoods. So there is a lot of scope in there. Processing waste, most of our manufacturing waste is actually edible, like mango processing. The skins are edible, the stones, part of the stones, the kernel is edible. So why can't we make some products? The mango kernel flour is gluten free, so it can be a substitute and for people who are allergic to gluten. So a lot of this out of the box thinking is necessary. Complete utilization, like this is the US way of doing things. Raw material comes in, zero discharge, zero waste, everything gets converted into a product. So have that kind of a mindset. And currently there is a lot of buzz, and many people are using this word called valorization. So make value added products. If possible, make into human consumption food. If not, then animal. If not, then compost or biogas. If not, then direct burning. I'll give you a couple of examples, like rice bran. When the milling of rice happens, the rice bran gets separated out. That's the bran which will have the endosperm. So the white rice versus brown rice. Why brown rice fetches higher price is because it has that bran. So shouldn't that bran be worth the real money? But if it is as a rice bran, it's getting sold at hardly 13 to 15 rupees a kg. I say it should be sold at more than 200 rupees a kg. So there are challenges, and why it's not being converted as human feed, but currently it's being sold as animal feed. In fact, our group has made wonderful biscuits and cookies and other bakery products using rice bran. In fact, rice is one of the few things in the world where nobody is allergic to rice. I'm sure nobody has ever heard about anybody being allergic to rice, whether it's nuts, soya, milk, gluten, this, that, almost everything. So someone or the other has allergies, but rice or rice bran, nobody's allergic to it. So you can make baby food out of it, weaning food out of it. So unfortunately, what are we using it for? Either for non-edible oil in soap manufacturing, or as a cattle feed, whereas it should be used as a high value human feed. But unfortunately, we are using it as a low value kind of an item. So a few more numbers, because I like numbers. So India has a huge population, 130 crores. So maybe 40 crore families. Each family typically on an average has a basket of 6,000 per month, family of 3, 4, whatever. So you're looking at a demand of around 2.4 lakh crore per month, or 30 lakh crore per year is what our agri and food overall businesses, right? Why this is important? Whereas pharma is hardly 3 lakh crore. So food industry is 10 times bigger than pharma industry. And now with COVID, people have started realizing that food can be used as your medicine. So if you eat right food, and of course nutraceutical is part of it, you can actually save the bills on the pharma side of things. In dollar terms, it's around $450 billion, which is almost 4 to 5 times more than UK. So a lot of people are very hungover of export. But don't ignore our Indian market, which is almost 4 or 5 times bigger than UK. Agreed, UK is only 6 crore population, half the size of Maharashtra, but you definitely export it. I'm also a big proponent of exporting, but don't ignore the market or the size of Indian food industry. We need almost 400 crore meals every day, or 4 billion meals every day. So there is a lot of scope that we can have in India. And India is actually growing at a population rate of 1.5 crore every year. That's like adding 4 New Zealands every year, adding 2 Israels every year, and adding an Australia every 2 years. So just think the kind of market we have in front of us here. I mean, I'm very excited. I'm not sure if after hearing or seeing this number, if anybody else doesn't get excited, but I see like a big market, and that's why the whole world is looking at India to come in, right? So I guess I'm almost 2-3 minutes. I'll try to wrap up in another 2-3 minutes. So these are some of the global trends that we are seeing, and I'm sure you have heard about them throughout the day, where a lot of customers are asking for natural products, natural vitamin C, ginseng, and so many other things. In fact, our masala box is a classic example of all that you can get to boost your immunity. So we have known it. Our grandparents, great grandparents have told it to us, but unfortunately, unless the Western world tells it to us, we don't accept it. Fortunately, now we have started realizing that our stuff and Ayurvedic and natural and herbal is good. So hopefully we'll see a lot more acceptance in our Indian market. People are also asking for wholesome nutrition. So like milk, for example. The kids are fed on milk for a year. So what is it telling? It's giving you all the macro and micronutrients. So whereas the kind of food that we eat, typically fast food, doesn't necessarily have all the wholesome nutrition, but consumers today are asking for wholesome nutrition. So that's another big area that will open up. Nutritional labels or clean labels, no additives, no preservatives, no colors, no flavors, or at least no artificial anything, is something that customers are asking. They're also asking for healthy and tasty food. In fact, I would like to bring one point that typically people think that processed food is always bad. We need to educate. Yes, majority of processed food could be bad because of high fat, high sugar, high salt. But making a blanket statement of this is not correct, according to me. Recently, I heard an expert talking on frozen food, and he said that if you are consuming palak, which is 24 hours since harvesting, it's almost 25% of things are destroyed, are gone. And if you're consuming something post 48 hours of harvesting, it's less than 50% as nutritional as it could be at the time of harvesting. But the same harvest, if you freeze it, if you convert it into a frozen product, I'm talking about palak or spinach, 97% of things can actually, the good things can actually be retained. So this myth that processed food is always bad is not 100% true. And we need to focus on those aspects where we can actually make good and processed food, which are actually healthy as well as tasty. And we are also seeing a lot of certifications and regulations that are becoming a trend, like people are asking for organic or HACCP or ISO 22000, halal, kosher, BRC, FSSC 22000. I mean, you name it. And the trends are there that consumer is becoming aware and they're asking for a lot of these things. So how much time I have? Am I gone over? I think I have 2-3 slides, but I can stop. I mean, and I can share the.
You can
Anyways,
continue, sir.
Okay. All right.
So you can continue.
Okay. I know I'm already talking very fast. I'll talk probably even faster and finish it. Some of the Indian trends, of course, this slide I've been showing for prior to COVID, but in fact, in COVID and because of COVID, things have even become faster, and all these trends are already here. So India is asking for safe food, convenience, obviously, with women in the workforce and lesser and lesser time in kitchen. Convenience food, health and wellness definitely has become the key now. Organic, natural, traditional, a lot of these things have come up. Ready to eat, ready to cook. Recently, I saw even frozen parathas being picked up and regularly being accepted as a replacement for the homemade chapati at home. And functional foods / nutraceuticals, health supplements, like I guess most of us are now started taking vitamin D3, B12, zinc, and God knows what all. So a lot of these things, those trends are already here. I'll leave with some more food for thought. I've already spoken about mango peels and mango stones, where a lot of, in fact, mango peels also has certain bioactives in it, which can be extracted. I'm not going to, someone who's interested can look up a couple of scientists from NCL who have done intensive work on mango peels, can be used as a laxative for cattle. Similarly, rice bran, I gave you an example. Cane wax, in sugar cane, it has wax on top of it. If that can be extracted somehow, it can be used as edible wax. Currently, we are using carnauba wax for coating of fruits, which is all imported. So it's a classic import substitute. Jackfruit, as I'm sure many of us know, it's a superfood. In fact, again, I go back to Kokand, and back in the days, it used to be one jackfruit as a compensation for one man day, and people would survive on jackfruit for 4 months, 5 months, which means it's giving you all the macro and the micronutrients. So, and that's why it's called a superfood. And cashew apple, my favorite, is having almost 5 times more vitamin C than oranges and 30% more than amla. So it's one of the, I think, number one vitamin C containing fruit available. Unfortunately, 22 lakh metric ton of cashew apple goes waste every year in just Ratnagiri and Sindhudurg alone. I think if we can come up with certain value-added products, it has huge scope. And last but not the least, de-oiled cakes, like after groundnut is cold press or even mechanical pressing is done, oil is removed. What is remained is a high protein, low fat cake. In Marathi, we call it pend. Unfortunately, it goes as cattle feed, whereas in fact, it should be converted into threptin kind of biscuits with high protein, 30% protein content and less than 10%, not even 10, less than 5 to 7% of fat content. So, and can be sold at 1,000 rupees a kilo, as against selling it as 15 rupees a kilo as animal feed. So just few food for thought kind of things, and I'm always available. I guess, I don't know if you have Q&A at the end, I can stay back and answer any questions that anybody may have.
Yes, sir. There will be question and answer session at the
Okay, so
end. Okay. So maybe after one more session, we will have
yeah,
questions.
okay. So I'll stay back for that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Nilesh, for
Sure.
such a wonderful talk, which was filled with all excitement and interesting facts. Okay, and one of the very important lesson I think you gave to our students, that it's very important to be fascinated with failures than the success, because as you become more prepared for, because after analyzing your failure, you became more prepared for the upcoming challenges. Okay, also I liked how you explained how important value addition is to increase the perceived value. The examples were really wonderful, and I think surely our attendees must be feeling that they are right in time, right in place to hear such expertise talk from you all.